Hi there. We're continuing our progress through the Psalms, the Tehillim. That means the praises in Hebrew. And we're in Psalm 119 in the Hebrew letter numbering system. That's Psalm Yud, Kuf, Yud, Tet. That's Kuf is 100, Yud is 10, and Tet is 9. That's 119. And we're covering today from verses 81 through to verse 96. And that means we're covering two stanzas of this 22 stanza hymn or song. It's 22 stanzas because each stanza of this 22 begins with a successive letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Each of the lines begins with the same letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And so the first stanza from verse 81 is the stanza for the letter Kaf. That's the letter Kaf in Hebrew. And originally in the pictorial language, in the pictographic representation, it was a hand or a palm. And Kep attached to the word before a word on its own means as or like. And so each line of this stanza of the song begins with the letter Kaf. And so the first thing he says is, I'm kalta, I am coming to an end. I'm nearly dying. I'm almost sick because of waiting for you to rescue me. The teshuatecha, I'm waiting for your rescue, Lord. And I'm depending, yachalti ledevarecha, I'm depending on your word, or when you're going to come through for me. So this stanza really is about the desire of the singer for rescue. It says, my eyes are failing for want of you speaking. When will you comfort me? When will you come alongside me? Denachameni, when will you come and be and help me? Come alongside and comfort me. And then he uses an interesting word. He says, Kihaiti kenod b'kitor. I was like a wineskin in the smoke. And the picture here is of an old wine bottle that would have been shriveling up if it got into smoke or fire. And he says, I'm shriveling up. I should be supple. I should be able to be used. But actually, instead, I'm shriveling up because I feel like I'm being smoked out here. But I've not forgotten, even in the midst of that, he says, I've not forgotten your principles. And then he says, how many days have I got? How long have I got? Kama yamei avdecha. How many are the days of your servant, Lord? I said, when will you vindicate me against those who are pursuing me? He's obviously being persecuted. People are coming after him. Arrogant people, he says, have dug traps for me. Karuli zedim shichot. They've dug traps, pits for him. And he's saying then that they're not keeping in line at all with God's Torah, with his life direction. But the singer says, your directions, Lord, are dependable. They are faithful. Help me, Lord, against the lies of those who are pursuing me, because there are people coming after him who want to take his life. And so he's saying, God, help me in this. All your directions are faithful. They've almost finished me. They've almost ended me in my time on earth. But I haven't left. Even with that, I haven't deserted. I haven't left your instructions. I'm being faithful to you, Lord. So favor me in keeping with your chesed, in keeping with your covenant bonded grace, and I will keep to your story. So he's crying out for God to show that faithfulness that God has promised him, that God has said he would. Then we move on to the next stanza from verse 89 to verse 96. And this stanza begins with this letter, the letter Lamed. Now, Lamed is actually in the pictorial presentation, the pictographic alphabet of Hebrew. This was a shepherd's crook, or even an ox goad, perhaps. And there is a connection between the word Lamed and an ox goad or a shepherd's crook. This is the word letter L, letter L. And it in modern Hebrew, when it stands in front of a word, it means to, or it begins many of the infinitives in Hebrew, like lishmo. It means to, T-O. And then the first word in this stanza then is leolam. And leolam is a very powerful word. It means, many translations have it as forever or evermore, but actually the word olam, to ever, to the horizon almost and beyond. It means without limit, that you're unlimited, God. Leolam Adonai Dorecha, your word is unlimited, and your word is established in heavens from generation to generation, ledor vador, from generation to generation, your faithfulness stands. You've made the earth and it continues to stand as a sign of your faithfulness. And you continue today to set things to rights, to effect your justice, this turning things up the right way, because everything, he says, is at your service. And if your Torah formation had not been my delight, if I hadn't delighted, lulei toratcha she'ashurai, then I would not have been able to survive. I would have perished miserably. He says, I will never forget your instructions. I'm kept in life for them. I belong to you, he says, rescue me. There's constantly crying out for rescue. I've looked out your instructions. These Zedim again, these Rishaim are seeking to destroy him. They're laying in wait for him. But he says, I'm keeping your story in my mind. I'm keeping it before my eyes. And he says, I've seen even perfection, even all that is complete is finite. But you, Lord, have your word stays, your directions stand. There's plenty of room for them, it says in the Hebrew, that even though many things come to an end, the promises of God, the directions of God, the commandments of God do not come to an end. There's room for them, there's space for them still. So here in these two stanzas again, the singer is crying out for God's help and God's aid, reminding God of his faithfulness, reminding him that he is staying true, even though they're seeking to divert him. The evil is seeking to trip him up. So he's crying. Let us cry out to God when we're in the midst of trouble, when we're in the midst of struggles. Let's be convinced, as this singer is, of the faithfulness of God and of the truth that he keeps to his word. Have a good day.